Hi, I'm Michelle Fondin, and you should give me your rose.
No, I'm Matthew Fondin, and you should give me your rose. Unfortunately, we are not the contestants on this season of Chris Harrison's wild ride known as The Bachelorette. That goes to someone named Becca
Kufrin, yeah. And this is On a Cloud, a Mother and Son Bachelor Podcast.
Oh, very true. All right. So, we're going to talk a little bit about Becca's backstory and current story of how she became this season's Bachelorette. So all Bachelorettes are the product of a former season of The Bachelor and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. And Becca's story to becoming the Bachelorette actually has a nice little twist that we're going to unfold here.
Yeah, I feel like all the recent seasons have kind of had like a gotcha moment, like Rachel's season definitely did before Ari's, and Ari's does too.
Yeah, they're definitely getting more and more bizarre.
Yeah. It's not always the former Bachelorette season, actually, come to think of it, because Ari was on the show. He was just on the show like 6 seasons prior.
Yeah, he was on the show a while ago. Like,
he's
I think there were like 5 years between. Yeah, 5 years between the time he was on the show and actually became the Bachelor.
Right. So Becca's history in Ari's season is actually pretty storied since she got the first one-on-one date.
Yeah, I mean, she got a fantastic one-on-one, and it was interesting because I didn't really think she stood out in the limo exits.
No.
Not at all. No.
She came out and she was like, hey. Then she went in the house, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, she wasn't super noticeable, but Ari picked her for the first one-on-one, and they had a fabulous time. Ari brought in this world-class fashion designer, and like, she got a bunch of clothes out of it. It was like crazy. And she walked back into the house with a bunch of bags with fashion designer clothes.
Well, she came out in a bunch of different outfits and he was like, great, you look gorgeous. And then she came out another one and it's like, oh, good. Oh, you're so pretty. And it's like, all right.
But after that first date, she didn't really have any screen time. She didn't have a lot of screen time.
No, because they were focusing on all the subplots that spread up throughout the episodes, and they were like, we're gonna have a naked wrestling date, and obviously she wasn't on like that one or anything.
Yeah, it was really it was, you know, you would see her at the cocktail parties with Ari, and she'd be like, well, do you still like me? And he's like, yeah, do you still like me? And that was pretty much it. It wasn't super noticeable. So it wasn't until the last few episodes where you were thinking like, oh, Becca K might actually be a finalist.
Right, but at the end, it came down between her and another contestant, Lauren B., one of the many Laurens.
Yeah, so what I want to mention before we talk about Lauren B. is in the fantasy suite with Becca. So it was really interesting. You could see Ari really struggling to make a decision. Right. You could see him super struggling. Because it really seemed in that last part of the season, you could see that there were 3 finalists in fantasy suites, and what's taxidermy lady's name?
Kendall.
Sorry, Kendall. And so Kendall was a finalist, as well as Lauren B. and Becca. And you could see in the fantasy suites that, you know, he had a good time with all of them, and he even said, and I'm mentioning this because I remember that. He even said to the camera after Becca's fantasy suite with Ari, he said, if I could just stop the show now and marry Becca, I would.
Yeah, which is a crazy thing to say considering the events that follow. But
yes.
Like, yeah.
So then he had his fantasy suite with Lauren B., and he made the decision that he was super into her too. And he was saying, I love you to both women.
Which now happens every season. Like, it used to not be a thing, but ever since Ben Higgins' season, it's happened, I think, every season continuously.
And it's really confusing for the viewer because especially you're like, well, where is he leaning? Where is he going with this? Which person does he really like?
It does build tension, but at the same time, well, you'll see by the end of our talk with this that, like, sometimes it builds tension and leads to a very weird conclusion.
Yeah, so let's talk about Lauren B. So Lauren B. was not super present in practically the entire season. She had a one-on-one pretty late in the season.
She was one of, and forgive me for this, one of many faceless, forgettable blondes that roll in the first season that I assumed would get cut first episode.
Yeah, so, I mean, she really pretty girl, but very generic looking in the sense of, you know, the tall, thin blonde. that are throughout the season.
She's attractive, but at the same time...
But she wasn't, she didn't stand out.
Yeah, no, she's one of, the many L'Oreal models that they just kind of slap onto the cover to fill faces.
Yeah, and so she didn't have much of a personality that stuck out. She was very quiet. She was really introverted in the sense that she didn't even really seem to talk with the other girls in the house. She was very to herself. I want to be
careful with this because I don't want to say that she doesn't have a personality, because you got to remember what passes for a personality on The Bachelor is either A, being awful, or B, being a ukulele playing taxidermist,
That's true.
Cartoon character, basically. So, I'm sure she's a lovely girl, but the thing is for this sports show, basically, where you need to stand out from the crowd and really, put your seduction game on, Ari seemed to like her for reasons that were not filmed or put on.
Yeah, we didn't, as a viewer, you didn't quite understand what the attraction was to Lauren B.
Absolutely.
And in fact, he, to the camera, said several times, I'm so attracted to Lauren B. She's so exciting for me. She's so pretty. And it's
kind of like that Arrested Development joke where it's her?
Her? Exactly. Her? Lauren B? Her?
That was Matt last season with Rachel, where she was Matt, you're me. I see myself in you. And it's
we're what? Him?
I've never seen him in my life.
Gosh.
I think you just pulled him off the street, actually, Rachel.
That was so weird.
That was lunacy.
So the strange thing with Lauren B was that when Ari was on dates with Lauren B, he would be like, I can't really talk to her. She's really insecure and she's not giving me anything and she's hiding herself from me. But then after he would be like, oh, I like her so much. So it was really confusing because at the same time he was like, I don't know if I can have a conversation with her.
Is there something they're not showing us or something?
Yeah. I don't know. It could be just that physical attraction that he felt.
Yeah, I guess.
But it seemed, he was a smoocher, so he kind of seemed to have physical attraction with a lot of different women.
Maybe he got the kiss and fuel pheromones in there and was like, oh, she's the best.
So, so what happened was we get to the final episode, and Lauren B meets the parents first, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
And the parents, Ari's parents, really liked Lauren B.
They're into both of them, I think,
yeah.
Right?
But I think Becca had a harder time convincing the parents that she was the good candidate for Ari.
No, now that you mention it, I think she did have a weird chemistry with his parents where they were just really into her immediately, and afterwards they're like, oh, she's amazing. We totally approve. And I was
and so it made it a little bit uncomfortable for Becca because Becca had to then put on her A game, literally. She had to just step it up and be like,
she had to really compensate.
I really care about Ari and I love Ari. And
so maybe the rest of Ari's families are kissers too, and they're just got their smooches in, and we're like, oh, the kiss pheromones are very good. Yes, this is a good Sauvignon.
And, they're also Scandinavian, so her being blonde, maybe they just thought she fit in with the family. The whole,
she's a chameleon?
Yes.
All right. Maybe.
Well, that did come to my mind. I thought about that. I was like, maybe it's
so
she
my future wife also needs to have black curly hair and be crazy to fit in with the rest of y'all. But
you're not Ari, to be fair.
No, I am not. Yeah, so then so I want to talk a little bit about the pre-final episode, though, because we got the twist ahead of time, because, there are leaks and things like that.
We kind of knew, but we didn't know. We kind of knew.
Yes, we kind of knew.
We kind of knew.
Ari's going to propose to one of the girls, but then do a switcheroo. But
we didn't know which one it was.
No. Mom was like, oh, obviously, it's going to be Lauren B., because on their dates, they don't seem to have much chemistry, where he's going to propose to her, then be like, okay, this is not working out, there's no chemistry.
And it wasn't chemistry, it was more like conversation,
right?
No, conversation,
sure.
yeah.
You can see when two people click, certainly, but at the same time, you got to have those talks.
Yeah, you got to be able to talk about something for the next 30 or 40 years.
Absolutely. So we figured, of course, then he would swap to Becca. Was not the case.
It was not the case.
As we came to find out.
It was totally crazy, especially because of all of the things he was saying to Becca. Because he was saying, Becca, you're perfect. Everything is perfect. I can find nothing wrong with you. Our relationship is perfect. He kept saying...
You scare me because you're too perfect.
Yeah, he kept saying how perfect that relationship with Becca was.
Yeah.
So because he kept saying how perfect it was...
Granted, the show may have leaned into that edit just so it was more of a twist later on, but he still said those things to her.
Yes.
The show did not copy paste his lines. He was absolutely still, it seemed like he was in it 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so he proposes to her. He says, I'll choose you every day.
Yes.
Which sucks, considering what happens afterwards.
Totally sucks.
Give her a big honkin' diamond ring.
But he also told Becca, like, I have no doubts about our relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, even after the engagement, he said, I have no doubts about our relationship.
Do you remember Lauren B's send home at all?
It was crazy. So what happened was, what happens at the end of the episode when the Bachelor is going to propose or the Bachelorette is going to get proposed to.
Yeah, the failed candidate comes out of the
yes,
car
the
first.
failed candidate always comes out of the car first, but they don't know this. They do not know that they are the failed candidate.
No. Like, yeah, but at the same time, it's always like they want to get a sexy sunset in. So if the sun is high and they're coming out and like Mexican standoff music plays, it's like,
Exactly.
all right, you're going to get shot down. This is not going to work.
You're going to get cut. But
Right.
They don't know this. So what happens is the Bachelor, Ari took her hands and he's just basically like, I have had a tough decision. You know how strongly I feel about you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to let you go or something to that
Something like
sort.
that.
And so she starts crying and he's like, would you like me to walk you to the car or something? So,
Yeah, okay, but like I think he put up some red flags of like, this is one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like he was having a rough time of it.
He was having a rough time of it, but he seemed resolute in his decision at that moment.
He absolutely did.
Yes,
which is why I
he
was like,
seemed
maybe
resolute.
maybe that tabloid leak was like fakey fake BS.
Right. You can't always believe tabloids.
No.
So she was crying when she entered into the limo and she just said, or the Suburban or whatever they have there, but she just said, why are you doing this? Like there was some sort of understanding between them.
Yeah.
That line to me,
It tells me that
like,
he said something to her like off camera in fantasy suites
exactly.
or something like that.
That scene, because she said, why are you doing this? And I just thought, there must have been another conversation that had gone on the night before.
Yeah, man, I have no idea. That makes sense to me, but it's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
And so meanwhile, to underlay how the episode is going, the whole time. Is cock a swear word? Chris Harrison is like cock teasing the entire audience, like the first uncut reality show footage ever. And
That's
we're like,
true.
and we're like, all right, that's gonna suck. Like it's not gonna be any good. And he's like, the full real take. So we get that, which is basically.
Well, we didn't talk about Becca's being engaged too, or asked.
Oh, he gives her a ring.
So
it's
he
an
gives her a
engagement.
ring, and they're engaged, and they go off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Right?
More or less. But then it pans out of the sunset and onto
Mm-hmm.
Ari's cool surfer dude haircut. And he's like, I've been talking with Lauren and I can't do this. I've just been having regrets ever since. So I'm going to let you watch me break up with my fiance. And it's like, I don't want to see that, Mr.
Yeah,
Ari.
it's really bad. It is so bad because, so what happens with this uncut scene is that there is time that passes between the engagement.
Like a month or 2 months, right?
Yeah, between the engagement and the breakup.
Yeah.
So he's having doubts, but meanwhile, he's planning his life with Becca.
Yeah.
He's totally planning his life. So she said they were looking for apartments together or houses together. She had planned on moving herself. So they were making plans into the future. And that's when he said to her too, like, I have no doubts about our future together. But meanwhile, on the flip side is that he makes the decision to get into contact with Lauren B.
Mm-hmm.
After this month and a half.
Yeah, no, and he
passed.
does. And
And he told Becca
Becca's
that he
aware
was.
of this.
Becca's aware, but he told Becca that it was more like he felt guilty about the breakup, and it was more. She was under the impression that it was about him getting closure.
She was kind of blindsided by all of this in the way that I don't think he made it clear what the extent of his feelings for Lauren were when he was contacting her. So he comes into the living room and he sits down on the couch with Becca, and of course the footage doesn't look very good. And what follows is the Iron Man challenge of how long every orifice in my body can stay clenched up as he stutters his way through the worst breakup in history.
It is so bad.
How do you mess it up that badly? He leaves when he should stay, and he stays when he should leave.
Exactly.
Because she's like crying on the couch, and he's just sitting in the other end of the couch
staring
at
at her.
like watching, like, are those two? Okay, you take your time. And then like
he was totally just like, oh my gosh, it was so painful to watch.
And she's like, leave, please, get out. And then he leaves the house, and then he wanders around the front for a moment, then comes back in. And of course, like, they're in this little cramped apartment.
Yes.
The cameramen are coming down the hallway like it's the Blair Witch Project,
Yeah,
encroaching
exactly.
upon Becca. It's lunacy. I get that they're trying to be like, you wouldn't believe us otherwise if we didn't show this unedited footage. It's painful.
It is
crazy.
just absolutely horrible. And I think the most horrible piece of it is that for Becca, she did not see it coming.
No.
She said she absolutely did not see it coming.
But is that the worst part about it? Because, okay, here's the thing. Ari comes on to the after the final rose later, which we'll be talking about a bit. This is a 2-part final. This is still the first part that we're talking about. What he says is basically like, that's my decision. I stuck by it. Everyone else can judge me for it, but at the same time, it's the decision I made. And I'm like, okay, hey, you know what you also decided? To, like, let the Bachelor franchise film you breaking up with your fiance and film her, like,
in this
reaction.
devastation mode because she has no idea what's hitting her.
Yeah, like, it's still like, he can't be the good guy when you're letting them take advantage of this situation. There must have been a way to opt out of it despite the NDA that he signed or whatever.
Now, there is precedent in The Bachelor dumping the finalist and choosing the runner-up. There's one precedent.
There's one guy, and he comes on and talks to Ari, but he did it off camera.
No, he actually did it on camera.
He did? After the final rose? Okay.
Yeah, he said he did it on camera.
I didn't see his season, but I guess that's...
No, he said he did. He did it on camera. But he said, if Ari had talked to me, I would have said... do it off camera.
Yeah, because Ari gets crucified after this.
Yes, definitely. And, it's not, breakups happen. Things happen. People break up from engagements all the time, but it's just more like the way it went about, the way it happened.
Plus, not like, it's just because Ari's story arc this whole time was like, he was heartbroken on his Bachelorette season.
He was dumped majorly on the season of The Bachelorette that he was on, a contestant on. He was head over heels in love.
Yeah.
He said it took him 5 years to get over her.
So you'd think he'd have a bit more empathy, or at least have an easier time kind of like easing her into the breakup, especially because he wasn't engaged to his Bachelorette. He was just some bozo on the show.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's whatever.
It's so crazy.
I didn't like Ari. Like, I liked him at the beginning of the season, where he was kind of like, ooh, this fun little sexy race car boy.
Well, I think, so what's your opinion of Ari? Because I have something to say about Ari, too.
I just thought he was, like, this weird, wishy-washy, like, kiss boy who I didn't really feel like I wasn't rooting for him to find love. I was more rooting for the other girls to get cool on-screen time. Like, hey, Kendall, play your little ukulele a little more for a couple more scenes. So I don't have to go back to Ari sucking face or talking about how he wants to be a grandpa and his... Here's
the thing, is I found that Ari didn't have, unfortunately, enough of a backbone to be selective.
Sure.
Because the thing is, when you are on this show, you need to decipher and be selective with who you really want to be with. And it's not about... kissing face with every single person and like telling every single person that you care for them and you love them and you see a future with them.
Right.
It's about being selective. And that takes some guts that you have to be selective.
No, totally. And like I get it. It's a hard show to be assertive on. It really is. But at the same time, if you want to date women in the real world. Don't go on this weird garbage harem anime of a television show. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, and then, like, Ari got real angsty after the breakup. He was like, no one understands me. No one knows what I'm going through.
And he got a lot of backlash. And, in fact, Chris Harrison was saying something to the effect that, like, he was receiving death threats for, like, putting that uncut version of Becca's breakup.
That said, he received backlash from the very audience since the After the Final Rose is filmed live. And there was just, like, 5 other women in the audience, like, glaring at the television screen. It was extremely good. So the women they have were Becca, Caroline, who I have no idea who Caroline is.
Right.
Tia, CN, and Kendall. I remember all the rest of them. They made this little girl gang that were all like really, really pounding on Ari the whole time.
Totally pounding on Ari, which is funny because a few of them were very much in love with Ari.
These were women that were ready to marry him.
I know, it's so crazy.
Because during the show, all the women get the edit of like, he's perfect. If I could drop everything and become his wife, immediately. And now they're like, what a trash man. And it's like, okay.
It's horrible what you did. And they're like, we hope that Lauren B gets out as soon as she can.
Yeah,
that's what they said at the end.
I think
Becca said that.
Becca was like the
other
leader
Becca,
of
not
this.
the Becca the Bachelorette, the other Becca. Becca M? Maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, Becca M.
Well, there's Becca, who's the Bachelorette, and then Becca, whose name is like CKAH. Yeah, she was like the leader of this like
She's
riot
like the leader
squad.
of the pack.
Absolutely.
It was so crazy.
Yeah, Becca, that said, Becca seems like a good TV personality.
Yeah.
Though, which isn't, because like, you know.
She's definitely beyond BIP.
Oh, for sure.
She is on BIP, yeah.
She, like, her shirt should have had the BIP flag
I
on
know.
it, basically. It's insane. Also, Chris Harrison, I want Chris Harrison to run, like, my high school Socratic seminars, because that man is so good at, like, asking questions and, like,
really good.
Moderating. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Totally. He's good at actually being spontaneous as well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty darn good.
And it's also weird to see how popular the show is, because people were, like, throwing up billboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, so what happened was people were so upset about what happened with Becca is that they created billboards that they put up in Becca's hometown, and then that same billboard, I guess, went up in Times Square.
Yeah, man.
Afterwards, and her fans also started a fund for her to get a glass of
wine,
wine, which ended up being raised to like $6,000 or something.
Which, hey, that's some good wine if you can get it for $6,000. But no, she donated to charity, which was lovely. I think that was nice.
It's so crazy. So Becca, you know, she's overcoming this. So she's overcoming this in the final episode. And remember, it's a couple months later.
Yeah. Well, she's about to trade one boy in for 30, so she got a pretty good exchange rate on that deal.
She got a pretty good deal, actually. So we find out that she is, in fact, the next Bachelorette at that
we do.
final episode. And, like, the crazy, funniest TV story is that all of a sudden they turn the set
okay. But before I move on from the breakup real quick, I think the weirdest thing about it to me was that Ari did not list any reasons why he couldn't be with Becca. I get it. He had regrets.
Right.
But, like, I think everyone kind of gets that thing of where you keep thinking about your exes and what could be.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, it's weird to, like, give up what you have, which seems like a concrete, stable thing, just to be like, well, time to chase this other lady. And he had confirmation beforehand that Lauren B was ready to marry him before he dropped out with
and
Becca.
that was a little bit sucky as well, and is the fact that, like, he was covering all of his bases first. So he first came into contact with Lauren B, and he was, like, apologizing to her and asking her where she was at. And before he went to see her, he actually got confirmation that she would get back together with him. So it wasn't a great risk that he was taking.
No, it wasn't. But how's leaving Becca for the Wolves or whatever? I don't know. It worked out for her in the end. It's just, it's a sucky read. She kind of won the love battle, but lost the love war with that one, where she won the game, but Ari was beyond her in the end.
Yeah.
She can do better though.
Definitely. Let's hope that one of these 28 men is her beau, is her husband to be. So yeah, the final.
Their couch time together was because he got sat on a couch with Becca. It wasn't as aggressive as Peter and Rachel's little couch time.
Yeah,
that they
definitely.
Had last season.
Wow, Rachel really. Gosh, if you guys saw Rachel's season,
was brutal.
Rachel really
it
cut
was so
into
rough.
Peter. Oh my
God.
gosh, it was so awful to see.
Which, I mean, kind of fair, kind of justified, but at the same time, this was more civil than that, at the very least.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but anyways, let's talk about.
I think Becca just took the higher road.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Becca just took the higher road.
She definitely did. I think that's true. Also, Ari kisses Lauren B, and he moans during the kiss.
Oh, that's on that episode? That's right! I'm like, what are they doing? Why is he making noises?
And I'm like, all right, whoa, okay. Anyway.
Oh my god, it's
so
bad.
then after this, a bunch of techies. Oh yeah, also he proposes to Lauren B. Whatever, his story's over. We don't care about him. A bunch of techies in black shirts swarm on stage and basically turn the set into like Poison Ivy's lair.
It's hilarious.
They bring on like an entire like arboretum of plants.
Yes.
And set up this cool.
And they set up a backdrop of the Bachelor Mansion.
Yep, and we get found out that we get to preview 5 little boys from next season.
We get to
some
see
of them
the
are
new
stinkers,
cast.
some of them are good. So the first boy is Lincoln. I thought it was really cute.
He was cute. We couldn't figure out where he comes from.
Yeah, okay. Mom says he has
sort of a British Australian accent.
Like, kinda, but it doesn't seem fluent, which is different to me at the same time. I don't know. It's a fun accent though. He's a really
he's a black
character.
guy, but with a different accent.
Yeah, why is that a conditional?
No. I was just saying, like,
right. No, yeah. So his ethnicity is hard to place.
Yeah,
because,
it's hard to
sure,
place.
Sure.
So he could be South African, he could be Australian.
Right.
We
No,
don't know.
that's
We
totally
don't know what he is.
Well, we can know technically because of his bio, I guess.
Yeah,
but
we'll have to read his bio.
They're out now, though.
But he was cute. He came out with a bow tie.
Yeah,
nice little accent.
He was really sweet.
He was sweet. He had like really nice things to say to her.
Yeah.
Now the unfortunate thing is they all mentioned the breakup.
Yeah, they all.
It was kind of like,
Yeah, it sets up a crazy precedent for like you're gonna try to start a relationship with someone else, but you started by saying like I'm gonna be so much better than this other shit.
Or by saying like I'm really sorry. You're a strong woman. I'm sorry what happened to you. And it's kind of like
it's like hitting on someone at a funeral, kinda. Like,
right. So sorry for your loss.
The tone is crazy.
My name is Lincoln.
And I would like to submit my name into your womb. So the second boy was Chase. He looked like a banker you'd see on SNL or whatever, like a banker character.
I just remember his teeth. I just called him Teeth. So from now on, Chase will be known as Teeth.
Chase will be known as Teeth. Chase Teeth. Did he have weird teeth or just?
He had big teeth.
He had big teeth.
Yeah.
His hair was awful. He was boring. Chase is not going to win the next season of The Bachelorette. Then there was Brian.
Brian was pretty brilliant.
Brian wooed me a little.
Yeah.
He was very cute. He looked like a little
so
barbershop
cute.
quartet boy.
Yeah, and he wrote a song for Becca.
Yeah, he serenaded her.
On the banjo.
But then afterwards he was like, hey. And his voice was really quiet and he was kind of gruff. And
really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he barked a few words at her then walked off stage. And I was like,
well, she was like, you definitely have to teach me how to play the banjo.
Yeah,
that's what she said to him.
Yeah. Which, hey, banjo, a surprisingly sexy instrument in the right hands. I never knew. Yeah, so Brian, thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely.
Then Darius, which was...
Oh, that was so uncomfortable.
He checks her out for like 59 seconds in front of a live studio audience.
It didn't look good.
I was like...
Oh my gosh, it was like a creepy guy, like... watching a woman on a street.
Yeah. Oh, you were so cool back there, and your body's also really cool, and it's great how you handled that. You're so strong. You know what else is strong? Oh, your core is just really ripped. Let me get another look at those legs. His eyes flitted between her face and her breasts, give or take 80 times during their 1-minute exchange.
He said something like, I was thinking about you being dumped, and I thought, oh, that's gonna be me. But we were like, you being dumped? Or you being her husband? Like, what?
Said some whack stuff, too.
It was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So the next contestant is Blake and Bradley.
Blake and Bradley?
Yep.
There wasn't two.
Blake is the man.
Oh,
Bradley
yes,
is a horse.
You're right.
Becca will have to marry both the man and the horse that came on stage if they win the next season. So he comes on riding a horse. This is a gimmick that
Oh, he brings out the horse.
Yeah.
He doesn't ride the horse.
Which, by the way, this is like probably $1,000 set. Like with Chris Harrison there, the horse is gonna poop all over the
place. I know, it's so crazy.
Because horses are full of food and have no bowel control. So
his gimmick, here was his gimmick. When you fall off the horse, you gotta get right back on the horse.
Yeah, he was fine. There's a horse every season of The Bachelor where it's like, I'm gonna be your white knight. And it's like, yeah, alright, whatever. It did not stand out to me in particular.
So Becca has this dress that is actually, it's like very sexy and it has a
Mom
slit.
Mom had strong emotions about Becca's dress.
It has a slit that, well, first of all, I didn't like the color. The color was very bad and unflattering. It was like this...
It was like a
olive
green
that kind of flecked
I
gold.
think it was gold, but the studio
was
just
more
dark.
But it was more like a pukey green.
It kind of sucked.
It was bad. It was a bad color.
Her
but
promo dress is pretty though.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. So
do you not think so?
Her dress, he asks her, so Blake asks her to get up on the horse, and she's got this dress with a slit that goes all the way up to her bikini line on the side.
She rides side saddle though, right?
She does, but she mentions her slit about 2 to 3 times as she's getting up on the...
That's fantasy suites, Mom.
She goes, I hope you don't mind my high slit.
I don't know. She said some garbage.
I
was too busy looking at the horse and trying to make jokes about the fact that there's a horse on the Bachelor set.
I was thinking about the horse pooping too. No, that's gonna be.
They did a horse date last season too, where they brought it into like an A&M or whatever.
Oh,
they walked into like this big fancy California shop.
That's right. No, that was on Rachel's season.
Oh, that wasn't.
That was not on Ari's season. That was on Rachel's season.
That was technically last season, since we're still talking about after the final rose. But anyways, yeah. So a couple final points about Becca. She has a lot of solidarity from the ladies of last season.
Definitely.
They did this really cute scene where they all piled onto the couch and sat on each other's
laps. There were like how many women? Like 6 women sitting on
6 women on a 2-person couch.
Right.
It was very cute. It was very, very cute. We can talk about the promo now.
Yeah.
So Mom has strong feelings about the promo.
Okay, so the promo is basically the commercial that you're seeing currently on ABC, in the shows that you're watching, the 30-second little promo that's pitching the Bachelorette that's upcoming starting May 28th. So set your DVRs. It is starting on May 28th. Correct. And that is Memorial Day. So if you're having your picnic or whatever, make sure that you set your DVR so you can watch it after your picnic.
Like picnic basket.
Picnic basket. Or take your picnic indoors and watch The Bachelorette.
Yeah, that could always work. Round up a few friends. It's an awful show to watch alone.
Yeah, you gotta watch it with somebody. So the promo...
So it's like a hair commercial basically, where she's got like a fan blowing her every which way, and she's just twirling in a dress and like.
Well, it starts out with her engagement.
It starts out with a clip
of her engagement. It's bad, you guys. It starts out with Ari down on one knee proposing to her,
and then it zooms out,
and he says, "I'm going to make you happy every single day of your life."
Which he did say, which does suck. But then it zooms out, and she's holding the footage on this paper heart, which she rips in half, which is kind of a crazy thing to do on like a love show.
Like, you're breaking my heart, Ari.
I was hoping they'd have
my heart was broken.
I was hoping they'd have a more like hopeful tone.
Yeah, it's definitely like a revenge type promo.
Right.
It's a revenge type promo.
No, it totally is.
It's horrible for this type of show because you almost want to clear the air from the past season or the past season that you were on. Like, clear the air and then have something fresh and new. Like, have something that's new.
Well, not to mention, like, I really liked Becca because she seemed like a very real person compared to a lot of the other contestants in the house, which I know was our complaint about Lauren B. But Lauren B seemed like a real person that is not interesting to watch on TV. Becca seemed like she is an interesting person in that you can relate to her and you feel like she's actually someone that you'd meet in real life and be friends with.
And she's a real person.
But now she's like this weird vindictive.
It's just it's not a good scene for her because and then the back song, like the song that's in the background of the promo is
it's a jam.
But it's like, I'm an independent woman. If you're an independent woman, you don't need a man. Like, that's the first thing that my mind went to.
Sure.
So if you're an independent woman and you're like flaunting around saying how independent you are, for me, that tells me this is not a promo for a love show. It's a promo for like working girls or something. It's not a promo for
Well, I think maybe the show's
show.
trying to push this idea of like, you can be your own person, but you can also get married. But I think at the same time, the point of...
But that wasn't her thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. That wasn't her thing.
But that's what I'm trying to get to.
They're making it into her thing, but it wasn't her thing.
They're making her a character, basically, where she's like the sitcom protagonist now, where she wasn't before.
And then she's got this tough girl attitude with her, her tagline that's "Let's do the damn thing," and it's just
we're gonna have to bleep that out in this PG-13.
I'm telling you.
But
so I overall weird. I just don't think it was a good judgment call on the part of ABC.
Well, especially because it's weird for the show, since I don't think that the Bachelor / Bachelorette are really the focus of the season. The contestants are. But now they're making it seem like she's on this journey to become her own warrior or something like that.
Right.
And it makes it a very
And it
different
almost
show.
seems like revenge for what had happened to her.
No, totally.
And for me, I'm like, you don't want to start a marriage. So let's think about this for a moment, guys. When you're on this show, the premise, even though it is a sport, it's a reality TV show, the premise is romance and roses and hearts and like starting something beautiful, like
and
initiating
getting legally married and sharing your income tax values.
Exactly. Like starting a life together,
Sure.
having children. So do you really want your children someday in the future to be viewing, oh, this started out with revenge.
Well, no,
this started out with my breakup and I got my heart broken.
Not to mention, okay, I get it. Emotionally, it's probably really unfortunate.
And unfortunately for Becca, it's pretty darn close to the breakup.
Yeah, but some people waste years on relationships that don't work or are really unhealthy or that people just dump them for no reason afterwards. She burned like 3.5 months on
of her life, exactly.
Sure, it's a while. Sure, she was probably very emotional about it and had a lot of skin in the game. She probably did love him, but
and it was funny. I mean, no disrespect to Becca. Honestly, you're a great person, but it was kind of funny that the photos she was looking at, during that final episode, were Polaroids.
She was like, yeah, no, she
was like, they had her sitting on her bed, like leafing through the Polaroids of her.
I haven't seen
and
a Polaroid since I was like 8 years old.
But I'm just like, how many memories did you guys create together in those 3 little months that you knew each other? And like the first 2 months were with 28 other women.
Right. Well,
like, you know what I mean?
I think what we have to keep in mind is that this show is crazy Hollywood rated relationships. Where like everything's like, I love my husband Kanye West more than life itself, and then a month later it's like, Kanye West, who's that? I'm on to Bruno Mars now.
Right. So it was just kind of funny how you need to put things into perspective and think like, yes, it was an engagement. Yes, it was a marriage proposal. Right. However, the relationship was relatively short in relation to the rest of life. Yeah.
And we're talking smack about her, but I really do think Becca will be a good Bachelorette.
She will be. I think
conditional if they don't focus the whole season on this friggin' breakup story arc.
Yeah, they need to let this go. They need to let this go and maybe create other promotions for the show that are a little bit more positive, a little bit more on the positive end.
Yeah, because like, I get that they're just doing it mostly for ratings, I'm sure. But at the same time, I feel like it had a pretty satisfying conclusion with Ari getting to say his piece to defend himself and Becca saying, that sucks, I forgive you though. Right. And then kind of moving on with her life.
Becca was super gracious about it, too.
She was. No, she totally
really, really gracious.
She handled it amazingly. Like, props to her. I don't think I'd be able to forgive him that easily for like the crap movie pulled of making men follow me around with cameras as he wandered in and out of my house.
Right. Ugh. And it was totally crazy. So, she handled it super well. Let's just hope that now from the first episode on, the focus is on something positive. Just, forget Ari. So the guys, I'm hoping to God that 28 guys do not exit their limos saying they're sorry for her breakup.
Oh, they will. No, I promise. Like, I can.
We'll count you guys. Let's make it a game. Let's count how many men.
I'll bet you a week's salary. That way.
A week's salary right now.
They're all going to come out and be like, boy, he broke your heart, but I'm not going to break my bones for you. And then they're going to like slip and fall on the ground. You're like, that was a bad joke. Get back in the limo.
So let's say, what would you bet? Like 14 of the 28 guys are gonna say something about the breakup?
Yeah, give or take, probably. Okay. If no more.
More? Okay, I'll say 14 will say something about the breakup.
Okay, here's our sample pool. Here's our sample pool, though. 5 boys came out the other night. I think 5 boys said something.
Did they
about
all
her.
say something?
They all said at least one thing about her breakup. I'm almost certain of it. At least one. Which I like, that was the topic of the night, sure, but right. It's her story arc. Which is weird, because it's like a villain arc for a villain that's not even present.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But anyways, so pick your fantasy suite picks, because the boys are up on the website now.
Yes, I'm so excited to read these stories of these men.
Mama has given them a customary look, and their names are all like Chris, Kringle, Craig,
Colin,
Chase. A lot of C names.
Connor.
How do they look so far?
They looked pretty good so far. It's
Horseboy was not good looking to IMO. I don't know.
No, not too much.
He's kind of doughy.
No, Blake. I can't believe there's another Blake. It's so funny.
He had a very square face. I don't know.
Yeah. So you know what I noticed about the cast though is that it was mostly white boys.
big surprise there.
There were a few black guys. I didn't really see any Asian. So it's interesting. I found in Rachel's season there was a lot of variety.
Well, yeah,
there was a lot of variety. There was like an Indian guy.
Black Bachelorette.
She was the first black.
Maybe they're really trying to levy diversity, but it's a shame that they're pulling back on that now because for my money, I swear to the Lord above, you guys, I cannot tell any of white people apart when they come out of the limo.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Well, especially the boys. The boys tend to just...
Girls and boys. I have trouble.
Oh, really? You have trouble?
All the blonde girls, they're just nothing
that's
to
true.
me. They're nothing to me.
The gaggle of blonde girls that...
Which I feel bad about, because, like, I'm sure they're all, like, independent people who all want to throw their own hats in the ring, but, like... You gotta remember, as a TV viewer, it's not interesting when it's like, let's see what Katie has to say.
And I think it's casting. So a lot of times casting is looking for a particular type.
Yeah.
And they're just going to cast 10 of that same type.
Yeah, no, the boys too, though, now that you mention it, where, like, the limo pulls up and, like, 8 Justin Timberlakes walk out, and you're like, all right, let's do this, I guess.
Yeah, so hopefully Becca will be able to tell the difference between them.
She'll have to. They mentioned that, like, on the first impression rose, they have to hold up headshots of the boys to, like, match names.
Yeah, because we were wondering after that. We'll talk about this next week when we talk about the first episode. But just as a sneak preview is that at that rose ceremony right before, because there are so many people that come out of the limo, and because the night is so long, by the end of the night or the morning, they actually have to sit back with her. Producers have to sit back and like hold up the headshots and like read the bios so the candidates, the Bachelorette, can understand like, okay, who am I choosing? Who am I rejecting?
Well, like, I get it. I've had 40-minute conversations with people whose names I never learned. You can't like wander around and meet 40 boys in one night.
Especially since, you're
you used to be a teacher, though. I guess.
Oh my God, it's so hard. No, it's so hard. I'm really bad with names.
Yeah. So there are there are 28 dudes?
There are 28 guys.
Which is less than usual. I think there are a lot more RACs. I think they're like 35 or something.
Were there that many?
I think there were a lot. I could be mistaken.
I don't know. So go to ABC Bachelorette. Just Google ABC Bachelorette. Go to You can look at the cast. Mm-hmm. Just read the bios of all the men. So for your fantasy league with your friends and family, you are going to pick your first man
before the episode even starts, just based on the bios and based on
the man that's going to be the winner.
Yeah. Well, okay, who's going to be the winner, or just like going to be the villain, or just someone you like? I think Jay picked Kenny. Jay is my brother and Mom's other son. He picked Kenny just because he was like, Kenny's great because he's like a pro wrestler and he's like, I love my kids, and it's like, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, Kenny was great though, and he actually we talked about Kenny last week, that he really did last quite a while.
He did.
On Rachel's season.
He was also the White Knight, which against his own will, which kind of sucked.
Right.
It is what it is. And but he left on good terms.
Yeah, most definitely. And, he went back to his daughter, which was awesome. And,
No, it was a very sweet story arc. So, yeah, just pick your first boy based on your own criteria. Mom and I will be discussing our Fantasy League picks next step.
I'm so excited to read the bios, you guys. Yay!
Oh, yeah.
The bios are so funny.
They are enlightening.
They are very enlightening.
Some of them are crap.
Some are boring.
Some are like, I love my mom, and it's like, all right.
Or someone's like, I like tattoos.
I like tattoos. I have 8 of them.
And then they're like, what was the craziest first date that you ever had?
Yeah,
which
is like, I peed in her purse, and it's like, okay.
You're like, what?
Yeah, or like it ended with like a 4-way, and it's like, all right, where's that story?
Exactly.
But anyways, yeah, so you can do that. Hey, if you've got a good first pick, or if you've got a good read on who's gonna win, our email address was incorrect last time. It is onacloudpodcast@gmail.com.
onacloudpodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes.
Yeah.
And check us out on YouTube. If you're not an iTunes person, we have the audio on YouTube as well.
Please do, yeah.
At
if you'd want a Facebook group where you guys can kind of converse with each other or with us on your picks, or if you'd want a Twitter account where you can send out notifications of when episodes are coming out, it'll be every Wednesday, but even still, just let us know, and we'll get started on that. It should be pretty easy to maintain. And make sure you watch The Bachelorette on Monday, May 28th, the first episode at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be seeing you guys then. Yeah. We'll catch you 2 days after the first episode airs. Yeah. Make sure you tune in to your iTunes account on Wednesday and have a listen. Yep. All right. Bye-bye. Bye.